And hello, good evening, my viewer. Thank you for joining me here at Sans TV Prime News. I am your host, Edna Kindi, and my sign language interpreter voicing today, Esther Kindi. Let's get to know the news making headlines in the country. Onto a fast news update, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has dismissed claims that President WilliamRuto has sidelined the Mount Kenya region in his development agenda. Speaking during a meeting with Meru leaders at Kirundune home, Kindiki emphasized that the government is set to launch projects worth billions in the region. He also took a swipe at former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of inciting Mount Kenya residents, leading to unrest and destruction of property.
Tutakubali siasa tena ya uchochezi kuharibu mali. Acha tushindane na sera, kila mtu ause sera yake, ule atafanikiwa tumuombe akuwe kiongozi wetu, ule hatafanikiwa angoje, Mungu atamsaidia siku nyingine. Jiulize wewe, mbona tangu 1963 hakuna siku nyingine tumechoma mali yetu sisi wenyewe? Si tumeishi kwa amani? So safari hii wale ambao wameleta fujo hapa Meru wajue hiyo siasa lazima ikome. We will not allow anybody to import violence and destruction here.
And away from that news update, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi appeared before a parliamentary committee to answer tough questions on the rising national debt, and which now stands at 69.7% of the country's GDP. The lawmakers expressed concerns over the sustainability of Kenya's borrowing trend, especially amidst report that 63% of the national revenue is currently being used to service debt. The committee sought clarity on the government's strategy to manage the ballooning burden of the debt. In his response, CS Mbadi acknowledged the risk posed by excessive borrowing and emphasized the need for the government to cut back on loans while implementing fiscal discipline to stabilize the economy.
Percentage that we want, which is sustainable at 55% or below of debt to GDP in present value terms. The strategy is to consistently reduce the fiscal deficit yearly. So we, and Chair, I want to remind honorable members that in the year 2020-2021, the debt deficit to GDP was at 8.1%. Now that came down in the following year to 6.2%. And then in 2022-2023, it further came down to 5.6%. And then 2023-2024, which I've just referred to, it came down to 5.3%. There was a very ambitious strategy to reduce debt to GDP, deficit to GDP, to about 3.3% in 2024-2025, which, Honorable Chair, you are aware, backfired. Because I think it was extremely ambitious. But then, moving towards having it at 2.7% in 2028-2029 may not be too ambitious. So this 2024-25, we had finally targeted to be at 4.6%, but we have ended up finally, although we are waiting for the final figures, that it may be around 5 to 5.1%. And then this financial year, we have agreed to have the debt to GDP, deficit to GDP at 4.8% max. And I'm sure we will achieve that because
The World Forest Day is being marked today in Nakuru County, with forest guards gathering at Dunduri Forest for a special celebration. The event, themed Progressive Ways of Forest Conservation, seeks to recognize and appreciate the efforts of forest officers in safeguarding Kenya's natural resources. And the ceremony is also an opportunity to acknowledge the challenges they face in the line of duty. The celebration in Nakuru joined global efforts to raise awareness on the importance of forest and sustainable conservation practices.
Mohammed, Commander Kenya Forest Service. Today we are celebrating World Rangers Day. It's an international event where we commemorate and come and celebrate what our rangers do in the field. They are our frontline men and women who protect our environment, conserve our forestry, and they are doing a wonderful job. So today we come together as Kenyans and as the world to celebrate the wonderful job they are doing. As government and as service, we are trying our best. 2 years ago, the government, through the president, gave us a budget to employ more than 3,000 rangers. Now we are trying to enhance their capacity both in technology, in the trade of tools, housing, welfare. We're trying our best as a government to make sure they enjoy their life and they enjoy their work within the wonderful, good environment, so as they have that morale to protect the environment, the forestry, and be our good ambassadors and our frontline station officers. Within this year, we lost more than 16 officers in the line of duty. More than 45 were injured. We as service and as government, we're trying our best to give them good medical cover, good welfare hospitalizations. Whenever they get injuries, we work together closely with their families to make sure they get their benefits, and we are given the best medical cover and medical attentions. And we are working with the communities, generally as CFAs, as neighboring communities within our estates, so that we reduce the conflict between our officers and our rangers, so that we work harmoniously to protect our environment, our forests, and our natural resources for the better of the world. In this gathering, we are planting more than 7,000 seedlings as a commemoration for this event. And we as Kenyan Forest Service, we encourage all communities, wherever they live, to encourage the communities to plant trees as much as they can. The 16 billion initiative by the President is a very objective, a very noble cause. We as service and we as the government, we must endeavor ourselves to work closely with the communities in our homestead, in our household, in our farms, in our estates, so that we achieve the 16 billion tree cover by the year 2030. We as the service today, we are planting 67,000 seedlings, and we are growing for so that maybe we sustain our environment and we increase our tree cover. We as a service, as foresters, as Kenya Forest Service, as rangers, this is our mandate, this is our work, and we usually do encourage our communities to do the best in planting our forest cover, to increase our forest cover.
Normal operations in public hospitals across Machakos County were disrupted today following a strike by laboratory technicians. The health workers, led by the chairperson of the National Laboratory and Treatment Association, Nicholas Odipo, says that they had been neglected by the county government. They are demanding better terms of service, including structured performance appraisals, payment, a permanent employment, and resolution of other long-standing grievances. The strike has paralyzed key diagnostic services in many health facilities, raising concerns over patient care and emergency response.
We are calling upon them. We also understand that they have advertised some posts and are giving our members a lower job group that is not in our scheme of service. So we are calling upon them, please desist from employing people in a job group that is not allowed.
We have been forced by the employer to withdraw our services officially. We started actually midnight today. because the employer has decided to go on strike. When you give a strike notice for 14 days, the strike notice was lapsing yesterday. Until yesterday evening is when the employer wrote us a letter.
Sisi hatuna budi, hatuna ubaya na nyinyi, ila tu serikali yetu ndio inatufanya tuweze kutoka kwa sababu hawajatimiza yale ambao tulikuwa tumediana na wao, na kwa hivyo tutakapo kuja kukubaliana na wao, basi tutaweza kurudi kazi na kuendelea na kuwahudumia.
The county government of Taita Taveta, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, has launched a public education campaign to curb the spread of mpox. The initiative targets communities and business people along the busy Nairobi-Mombasa highway, with a special focus on long-distance truck drivers who are seen as a high-risk group due to the constant travel. The health officials say that they are particularly concerned about potential transmission in rural areas and aim to use mass awareness efforts to inform the public on prevention measures and early detection.
Kianza surveillance huu ugonjwa tulikuwa tunasema tuna report imported cases kwa sababu sana huu ugonjwa tulikuwa tunapata kwa truck and drivers, na epidemiology yake pia tumeona the persons who are getting mostly affected ni truck and drivers na female sex workers na pia health care workers to some extent kwa sababu of the isolation centers. So hao ndio wako affected, but pia it affect pia our community. So hatuongei mambo ya imported cases peke yake, tunaongea pia mambo na community transmission. So kuna evidence ya community transmission ambayo tume witness.
Sababu tunasema prevention starts at home, in the household. Mahali kuna hiyo conduct ya mtu mmoja na mwingine, kutoka kulala pamoja, kuvaa nguo na kushare vitu katika boma. So community kiweza kupata habari na kuzuia kule katika community level, basi tutaweza kuzuia hizo magonjwa kuendelea kurupuka na kuweza kufika katika pande hospitali. Na tunaendelea kufanya kazi pamoja na county government of Taita na kaunti zingine.
Kama mradi tulikuwa na ufadhili wa kufanya kazi katika kaunti mbili. Hiyo ni kaunti ya Mombasa na kaunti ya Taita Taveta, lakini kama mradi tunafanya kazi katika kaunti 4, na katika hizi kaunti 4 za Kilifi, Mombasa, Taita Taveta na Kwale tunafanya kazi na idara ya afya, na tunafanya kazi kwa ukaribu ili tuweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba hata zile kaunti 2 ambao hatukuweza kupata hifadhi ama ufadhili ya kufanya uhamasisho hili ya mpox, tunafanya kazi kwa ukaribu ili idara yenyewe ihakikishe ya kwamba wanaweza kuhamasisha jamii.
And now we're going to take a short break and we'll be back with the sports news updates.